I'm not a racist, preach the teacher. You still they never had this. Number one, them wanna run about the gun. I wasn't licensed to have one. The minute they see me, fear me. I'm the epitome, a public enemy. Use, abuse, without clues. I refuse to blow fuse. They even had it on the news. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Back when I wrote y'all, yes.
It's a great honor. I interviewed her before. And when Midnight came out, I actually snatched a galley, which is an uncorrected proof from Simon & Schuster, because I was over there at the time. And that book was so thick. And I read that thing in like 2 days. It was so good. It was so daggone good. And this latest one, I couldn't wait to get this one, get my hands on it as well. Oh, it's sassy. It's saucy. It's got all of the intrigue from The Coldest Winter Ever. But it's grown up, though. It's grown up. And the audiobook, she's reading it. You get to hear her voice. Let me just welcome the legend, Sister Souljah, to the Carrot on the show. Welcome back, sis.
How you doing? Peace. Thank you for the intro. That was nice.
Listen, you one of the best writers of our time. We've been talking about Ta-Nehisi for the last week and change. But when I said she got another book coming, because you pace yourself. We may have to wait a minute. You be writing.
That's true.
That's
true.
What
I have to pace myself because I want to pack such a powerful punch in each novel. You have to read it and maybe read it again and let it revolve in your soul and then make some choices, because I'm going for each book changing your life. Like, you won't be the same when you get to the last page. That's what I'm going for, whether you're a male reader or a female reader. That's what I'm reaching for.
I want to take it back, because this is called Love After Midnight. We were introduced to Midnight a couple books back, and he was a man that I did not expect to meet or like, but I fell in love with him the way so many did. There was character and ritual and manhood and understanding of that. And I was like, I wonder if enough men will read this book to gain these lessons, and even some polygamy in there that I want to talk to you about. But I was like, because it's culture. You took us to different parts of the world that I know that you stepped foot on to learn those things. Tell us a little bit about that, because Midnight is coming into this book as well, and the tie into this one.
Well, Midnight was introduced in my first novel, which was The Coldest Winter Ever. And when I wrote it, I knew the main character, Winter Santiago, was in love with him, but I didn't realize that the whole country would fall in love with this man. And when I did, my second novel was supposed to be about poor Santiago, and I switched it and did the novel about Midnight, because he had gained such a popular footing in the United States of America, in the UK, and really across the globe. I was very grateful for that. Plus, I had decided that if I didn't write this book, there would not be a book that is a novel that is exciting and packed with information that would connect with young men. And so I wrote it, and it became a huge seller in the prison system, believe it or not, across the United States of America, and then also in the streets. And, I've had people call me and say, I'm calling from Kentucky. I saw a group of teenage boys reading your book at the bus stop. And when I hear something like that, that's the goal, and it makes me very grateful.
We were just talking yesterday too about this new article about how young people are not reading. They like most of even college-bound children have not read a full book, and I was sad by that, because that says something about the future of this country and the world. But what you're saying about, because that book is thick. If they're reading it at the bus stop, they're reading Midnight at the bus stop, you've done something. you've done something really, really powerful.
Well, it's interesting. They say that young people are not reading. It says something about, what's happening, but it also says something about the curriculum. Because the books that are being assigned in high school are the same books that were assigned, when I was 14, and probably even when my mother was 14. And I don't think there's been a big shift in providing the right kind of literature that connects with the circumstance, the condition, the interest, and the needs for young people of today, of 2024.
If you were putting together, because I couldn't agree with you more. And I was just saying, I had this argument up there at Simon & Schuster. It's like, when someone would tell me black kids don't read, I'm like, that's because you're not producing books that resonate with the souls of black children. Like this,
Absolutely.
and your culturally unaware self can't make that determination, but they do. They determine what we are going to like or not like. They have these meetings, and we're never in those meetings, really, And even our authors are oftentimes shepherded into these kind of tropes, which is why I love rocking with you, because you're gonna spit some lyrics, okay? You're gonna put some information and some knowledge and history amid the f-bombs and the sex and all of that other stuff is gonna be in there. Everything's gonna be in there. You do a masterful job at that.
Thank you. I have to be honest. I have a good relationship with Simon and Schuster. Uh, in terms of my content, there is no one there who tries to manipulate me or to ask me to delete anything. When you read a Sister Souljah book, it's every word that I wrote on the paper minus a grammatical error, as long as that's not a linguistic thing, like I'm speaking in, community colloquial language, and they're correcting it. So if it's just a comma, too many commas, yeah, they can take that out, but they really don't bother me in any way about my content.
I wasn't at all talking about you, because I know that they would never, okay, like they would never with me. But
Mm,
if young writers are coming up
mhm.
who want to be published, you're just like when I was a young journalist, you're going to satisfy the shift, because you want to be accepted. No, they can't tell you are Sister Souljah. But I lament, because I'm like, we need more. We need more of this. More of this.
We need more, but you know what? I've been thinking a lot about, say, the group 18 and up, uh, male and female, women and young men and young women. And I think that we have to use our willpower, you know, not always, be anxious or worried or trying to fit in or trying to bow down, but to use the strength in your mind and the breadth of your imagination to be able to say and create storytelling that that affects, that impacts, that moves a soul, that changes lives. I just think it's really important.
I agree. I agree. All right. So we go from Coldest Winter Ever to
Hmm.
Midnight, a gangster love story,
Right.
to A Deeper Love Inside, the Portia Santiago story. And
Yes.
now we're here with Love After Midnight.
No, after
Lo-
Deeper Love Inside,
Deeper
there
Love Inside.
is
What
Midnight
I
3,
read.
A Moment of Silence.
Oh, how did I missed the book? Hold
You
on.
missed two books because after A Moment of Silence, there was Life After Death, and that was the number one New York Times bestseller in 2021, right in the midst of, or the height of COVID. And it just was selling. I think the topic of that, life and death and the afterlife, just captured, like gripped the country. And I was really surprised to see my name at the top of the list. And I was never a person that cared about any list, but I was just happy that there were so many people holding my book in their hands and reading it.
I got it now. I got assignment over the weekend. Okay, so I have to go back to A Moment of Silence that came out in 2015. Sold more than 2 million. You better do that. I'm so proud. It to me, the written word is so powerful. The word period is so powerful, and I don't feel enough of us sit in the word enough. And so I'm going to use this platform to encourage everybody to read, because that's where I feel like freedom is born. For you, taking us from the initial story, which people were for 20 years begging you to do, can you come back? What's going to happen? And then you did. Now you're back. You're back. What has that
Yes.
journey been like? Because you have grown tremendously and been through some things and done some things over the span of from coldest winter ever to where we are now. Can you talk a little bit about what has transformed in you?
Well, just know that I was continuously writing, whether or not I had a book being published that year. I was either working on a book. And when I work on a book, if my character goes to a country, then I go to that country and my whole family comes along. And then we live in that country and I, experience the language, the culture, the neighborhood. Like I move in, not like a tourist, though. I'm not going to the tourist locations. I'm making sure that I'm staying where regular people are and where they're shopping in their supermarkets. I'm in those same markets. I'm not in specialty shops for foreigners or anything like that. So I'm in a constant state of writing, whether or not the final product has been delivered. And Love After Midnight is my seventh novel. And for anybody out there who doesn't want to read, I wish you did want to read, but I read the audio book. It's the first novel that I've written where I've narrated the audio. So if you just want to chill in your car and listen to the story, check it out. It's on audible.com. You can, from all of your devices, you can get it on your phone or whatever have you. So how have I grown? I mean, every single place that I have traveled has impacted me dramatically, and my family as well. When we were first going to Japan, was for Midnight and the Meaning of Love, which was the second Midnight book in the Midnight series. So my whole family took Japanese language lessons in the United States for about 6 months before we actually went on the trip. And that was really something. It was kind of comical as well as enriching. My son, he caught on very well and he actually became fluent in the language. His father was just joking through the whole process, playing with the teacher. And I was like I normally am, like, I might not learn this language fluently, but I want to learn the emergency stuff. Like, I want to be able to know all the colors, how to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I want to know how to say help. I want to know how to say please and thank you. Just the functional things, or take a left, go to the right, back up, go forward. And so I've just learned so much. And to me, the key to becoming a great writer is is how much you are open to learning and in pursuit of learning, and how much you love people, like people of all different classes and language and race and culture, because no matter what, you're going to learn something from every group of people.
Ashe. Talking with the great Sister Souljah. Love After Midnight is the latest in a series. And I listened to, I actually downloaded the audiobook today.
Mm.
And I smiled because, reading your own work has to be daunting, and your work in particular. But there was poetry in it. I was like, oh, we get the poet herself reading these words that she crafted. That must be so rewarding and beautiful, and at the same time daunting. What was that experience?
Well, I ended up enjoying it, but I really was running away from it. Like I said, this is my seventh novel, but it's the first one that I've performed the narration of for the audiobook. Um, I try not to allow the readers to confuse me with Winter Santiago. So I would always try to get a celebrity to do the voice, so that I could stay separate from the main character. Because I find that, especially in the Black community, uh, there's an invisible line between nonfiction and fiction. Like, people really get lost and can't distinguish. And I'm not saying they can't read or can't understand the words in the book or anything crazy like that. I'm saying that I experienced people actually believing that I am Winter Santiago, that this is my personality. And I experienced people coming up to me. I was on 125th Street in Harlem one day, and I was sitting in my car. A man knocks on the window, and he says, "Yeah, I was locked up with your father." I said, "My father?" And he was like, "Yeah, Ricky Santiago." And Ricky Santiago is a fictional character, the father of Winter Santiago. And I said, "Listen," I said, "that wasn't my father. My father is a janitor at the strip mall in the Bronx." And he hasn't been locked up in the prison. So I was like, no, that wasn't him. I went to the movies one night with my husband, and the girl, that takes the tickets wouldn't take the ticket from me. And she had like an instant attitude, and I didn't know what was going on or what was going wrong. But usually women who don't like me still love my husband. So she told him she has an attitude with a soldier because Soldier stole Midnight from Winter Santiago. And I was like, it's a book.
It's a
It's
book.
a
It's fiction.
novel. It's
Oh my goodness.
storytelling.
Yes.
But a
Which
lot of
tells you
people can't
how
distinguish.
it tells you how hungry we should be for good
Mm.
storytelling,
Oh,
to awaken
yeah.
those parts. Yeah. We're talking with Sister Soldier. I love that you said your father was a janitor in the Bronx, because we first met you during Bill Clinton's, that's when I first met you, during Bill
Mm.
Clinton's run for president, and you were out there activating the people around justice and got demonized in a way that never should have happened, and came back from that to be this prolific, you were prolific then, but really prolific writer now, to the point that that's almost faded into the background with the crazy insanity that we've seen since Clinton. where
Mm.
where are we right now, in your social activism muscle? Does it twitch every now and then as we are embarking upon God knows I don't even know what?
Well, I have to tell you, I was out there doing absolutely everything, creating curriculums for
Mm.
young people, running summer camps, weekend programs, feeding the homeless, fighting against welfare hotels, basically everything for decades. And then at a certain point, my husband said to me, because my husband is the one who used to drive me everywhere. And I mean, he is an excellent driver. If I told him I need to go to Igloo number 85 in Alaska, I'd get in the car, go to sleep, and when I wake up, I'll be right there. So one year he said to me, he said, "All right, listen, we've been doing this for a very long time." He said, "You're not going to actually be able to visit every person you want to help. And he said, you're not going to actually be able to give the information one by one from community to community. And he is the one who suggested to me that I should, become a full-time author and deliver my messages through my writing. And then people can buy the book and you don't have to go to everybody's house door to door, especially since he had to drive me there. So I would say that my activism now is in my being an author and providing content which is active and which is moving or which is meaningful. I'd say that that's more my activism now. After decades and decades of highlighting what's happening in the system and making suggestions and being parts of organizations and lecturing at every university in the United States of America, I just thought to myself, now the younger generation has to come up under me the way I came up under the generation that came before me. And if it doesn't transfer that way, it won't work.
That's right. It won't. Let's take some calls. A lot of people want to holler, want to say hello to you. Let's go to Jubilani in New Jersey. Oh, excuse me, Jabulani. Is it Jabulani?
Yes,
Welcome.
it is.
Welcome, brother. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm
And how are
good.
you doing, Sister Souljah? I
I'm
don't know if
good.
you remember this, but I go back with you when you were at a lecture at Boys and Girls High with Father Lawrence Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
And you first, yeah, and then we also secured some security after the Clinton incident when you were over at the Apollo Theater.
Yes, the Apollo
So
was a regular place.
Yep. So I remember going way back when I was a youth, as they say,
Yes.
back in those days. And I'm glad that you're still doing your thing as a writer. And it's good to hear your voice. It brings back
Thank
old
you.
memories and everything from those days.
Shay.
And I
Thank you.
for everything that you did and that you are doing.
Shay, brother.
Thank you so much. I remember every second of it, like nothing even slips by me. I think about it, I reflect on it all the time. And I remember, I think what was the greatest about that time period in the early 90s and all the way up to maybe 2007 was that we had a line of leadership. It wasn't just me.
That's right.
There were elders who, at that time, I was so young, an elder could be somebody who was 35, which is really not that old. There were lawyers that were activists. There were clergy that were activists. There were social workers, just organizations, unions. So many people awakened conscious and participating in organizing and creating and building. And I think that there's a big difference between what we had then and what exists now.
Oh man. So many people do want to holler, want to talk about your writing and everything. This is we're in a time, I feel like it's one of these periods in history. Like we're living through it. Like it's going to be marked on a calendar 100 years from now that this era was a thing. And I'm very sober, and it's also kind of a reckoning. There's been so many people using their platforms not to liberate, but to build themselves. And I'm just the foundation that you built with what you were doing when you were younger and now through these books I think it's incredible. As I was listening, because I was listening to your audiobook today, I was like, Oh, I hope there's a 15-year-old out there who is so enamored with this book that they're going to go back and listen to all the rest of them and be inspired to do so many other things, and then share it with everybody and have the whole school reading it. Like, and that touch that you have, I was like, yes, ma'am, you did that.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you doing? How's your health and everything? How are you?
I'm healthy. Thankfully, I'm healthy.
Good.
I'm peaceful. I've been writing overseas now for about 6 years. So
What country?
in UAE,
Okay.
Dubai, that whole area.
Yeah. Is it because I'm looking, I was looking at Costa Rica, I'm looking, different places, and I definitely want to be immersed in Spanish at some point as well. Dubai, pros and cons for us, for Black
Uh,
conscious Black people.
well, I love it here for several reasons. Um, the first time I came to this area, which is essentially called the Middle East, uh, the pilot on the plane said a prayer before takeoff. And that was
What?
so shocking to me. And the sound of the prayer and just everything, it really brought me to tears. That was like my first experience. And that
Wow.
was, I think, 2013. When I got to the country, I thought about everything that I was taught about this region. If you're in the US and you're going to school, you're in college, or you're just reading the newspapers after graduation, you get this impression of the Middle East. Everything's exploding, everybody's fighting, war is everywhere, everything's so dangerous. People are crazy, they're fanatical, everybody's a revolutionary that has yeah. When I got here, it was such a peaceful place. It was such a place that's made up really a network of families.
Mm.
It was so moving to me to go to the mall on Saturday mornings. You would see all the Muslim men with their sons, having breakfast, walking around teaching them, or you would go and there would be all these tables put together, and you'd see fathers and sons and grandfathers, and that was moving for me because that's not something
That
that
we
I
get
would.
here.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in.